a left-wing watchdog channel, which is Right Wing Watch. This is a channel that I've gotten a lot of video clips on, or I should say from, throughout the years about what right-wingers have been saying, just got banned. So they had been getting strikes thanks to YouTube's like anti-hate and discrimination policy for basically showing what right-wingers have been saying. And
Yeah, all they do is document precisely what's being
exactly.
said. Yeah.
Exactly. And so as a result, they have been permanently suspended on YouTube. This is according to their own Twitter account, who came out today. And there were, of course, screenshots, with the emails going back and forth and how they were, getting their channel reviewed and appealed. And that suspension, of course, that appeal has been denied by YouTube, which again claimed that the group was in violation of guidelines. So, Vadim, you are a YouTuber. You put out a lot of great videos, a lot of great content, satirical content. You
Thank you.
show what the right wing talks about, and you basically show them in context. And yet you have been hit by these same policies. So why don't you explain your dealings with YouTube?
I have. I mean, first of all, I'm going to say we can talk about my particular problem. I
Hmm.
think it just pales in comparison with the loss of a channel like Right Wing Watch, which was a tremendous resource. I had been watching that channel for at least over 10 years. I think
Oh
I
yeah,
first found about them around 2010, and they document everything from crypto Nazi fascists to crazy Christian zealots, just being extremely homophobic,
yep,
transphobic, just, every jerk face under the rainbow can be found on that channel.
right,
And I think that what this is a case of is it's a case of a very, I guess you could say, a lazy algorithm. I mean,
hmm,
I guess you can't. No, no. You know what it is? It's like, okay, we have these algorithms. They detect certain types of content, and of course, there's going to be false positives.
right,
But unfortunately, there is not a enough human power involved, or they haven't figured out a way for the
hmm,
algorithms to be intelligent enough to determine just channels which are merely discussing
right,
the stuff at hand. And the last thing I'll say is that it's just incredibly important not just to have channels like Right Wing Watch, but the resources that they have.
right,
Other people, other content creators use their material, and it's important to discuss it because the ways in which, I mean, sometimes they're overtly, outwardly hateful, and then
hmm,
sometimes there are times where you have to kind of decode what it is that they're saying, and
right,
that might get a YouTuber who is on the left and completely opposed to hate in a little more trouble, because they might have to say, like, look, this is what they're saying, and in that process they can, I mean, like, for instance, another channel that's had some problems is that Thought Slime, who's a great lefty channel. He had a video on Steven Crowder taken down, and that video was just kind of explaining what was behind his hateful rhetoric, and the Crowder video didn't get touched, and for a while his video was down. So
yeah.
these things happen, and it is a problem.
Yeah, yeah. The fact that Steven Crowder is still on YouTube when
Yeah.
they profess to have these policies is a failure of the policies. But I want to go back to, by the way, talking about the algorithms. So this
Hmm.
specific situation with Right Wing Watch, and I'm sorry you kind of like that's my fault that you froze like on a derpy face. So
Oh,
that's that's my fault there. Sorry
I
about that.
maybe mine. I tend to make derpy faces. So
Not for, yeah, but I do too, but not for that long. But going back to the algorithm, the big
yeah.
problem here is that this wasn't. Yes, the algorithm is one of the major problems, and the lack of humans being able to review. But the fact that this reviewer then went through and I don't know, maybe they were bullshitting, but they said, oh, we reviewed this, and oh, definitely hateful.
I'm very skeptical that they actually have human beings looking through the vast majority of this material.
That's fair, because let me
You know,
just
yeah.
interject here and say that a lot of the content that goes up, especially on these far right channels, would give people PTSD like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Yeah, very often that is the case.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's I would rather there be terms of service on YouTube so that various Nazis, gripers, what have you, don't
Right.
just that they're not able to like run rampant
Hmm.
and spread their BS. But again, there's so many right wingers who think that this is a gotcha. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, like the left is getting like taking an L now
Like Tim
because they
Pool.
never stood for free speech. Yeah, probably Tim Pool is doing exactly that. I
Yep.
haven't seen his Twitter feed lately, but
Oh, I
that
have.
doesn't surprise me in the least. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that I mean, you're free. I mean, I don't think I have to go into what is free speech and why YouTube enforcing terms of service is not a breach of
Hmm.
speech, of freedom of speech. But like
Right.
in my case, it's like they're obviously making mistakes because in my particular case, if is it cool just to
Yeah.
explain
Yeah.
quickly
Yeah.
what in my particular case, I had a video which was called an alt-right Christmas. I at one time, right now, my channel's name is Hey It's Vadim. Used to be Creationist Cat. Had a character named Creationist Cat who I won't go into what he was all about, but basically, it was made at a time in which the alt-right were far more rampant on YouTube,
Hmm.
and it was a parody and a mockery of the hate that I was seeing from them on YouTube. And what happened was is that in 2018, I think I made it in 2017. In 2018, I got a strike for it. And then I appealed it. I had someone at the time who was helping with those things,
Right.
and they issued me an apology and they posted it again.
Right.
And then I got in a year later, I got another strike for it. I was
Hmm.
trying, my appeal was rejected. I was trying to get someone to help me with it, literally as it was like in an unlisted phase, because
Right.
it had a strike. It got a second strike. The first strike was for hate speech. The second strike was for bullying. So I got two strikes for a video that I had already had a strike on at the same time. And I was like, YouTube, this is ridiculous. I tweeted about it, got a little bit of a little bit of word of mouth. So like they did the first time, they apologized and they reinstated it. And I
Hmm.
even said to the representative that I spoke to, look, hey, do you guys want me to remove this video? Because if it's going to cause problems in the future, I'll take it down. And they were like, no, 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 don't worry. It's fine. You're good. And then lo and behold, a few days ago, I get a fourth strike for this video. And the last thing I'll say is not only did I receive a fourth strike, which seems like they're not going to allow me to, they're not going to reinstate as it's the way it seems. But
Right.
not only that, they immediately told me that my appeal was rejected, which was very odd because I never made an appeal in the first place.
Oh, that's strange.
Uh, yeah, it was very weird. It was just
Huh.
like I was finding out about the strike, and they're telling me simultaneously that this appeal that I never made was rejected. So it's very clear that there are mistakes being made, and they should have some sort of database of videos that that they've already given strikes to. I just feel like an idiot for not taking it down. I mean, ultimately, I wish it was up, but it's not. I'd rather not, take the L of taking the video
Right.
down than get a strike for it
Right.
for a fourth time,
But
no
again, what do you
less.
do, when you were told that no, no, this video is absolutely fine. we have no problems with this, and then now suddenly they're giving you problems.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
what can you do?
right.
Well, once again, I tried to get like a little bit of Twitter, people were great about it. I had lots of
Mhm.
retweets about it, and there was some discussion about how ridiculous it all was. But ultimately, they're not doing anything about it, and I, I'm I'm just I'm a little surprised because of course these things are always going to continue to be
Mhm.
problems on the platform. I'm talking specifically about, actual hate speech being
Right.
on the platform, but it has, to some degree, it's certainly, there's a lot more that can be done. It has to some degree gotten better. And I don't know. I just think that when, YouTube sees thousands of people retweeting tweets, and the story is so clear. You did this 4 times, bro. It's just it borders on like, what? This is what reality are we living in here that you
Right.
guys can't address this properly?
Yeah, and look, you're not the only creator that I've seen this happen to. Our friends over at the Surfs.
Absolutely.
And there's so many more. There's so many small
Yep.
creators as well that this. I mean, for you, I think you've got a relatively large platform. It Surfs as well, and YouTubers such as myself. Thankfully, I haven't had it happen to me yet. There's always the
Yeah.
yet there, the qualifier. But like,
Well, okay, go on.
no, no, no,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that one thing that's really dangerous about all of this, or for me, a huge downside. Like, for instance, there's a video that I would really love to make that I
Hmm.
did lots of research on, and I think if I made it, it would be one of my best. It's a video that would be about sort of like the history of the term white genocide.
Right.
I assume you're familiar with it.
Yes.
It's generally a term that, I mean, it really does have its inception in like white nationalist
Right.
slash Nazi circles.
A slash
And
replacement theory kind of thing.
yes, it's basically the great replacement theory, but it's kind of like a little more mask off.
And
And
and and let me just interject because what's funny
yeah,
about this is that Tucker Carlson talks about this all the time, and
yes,
not only does
yes.
he dog whistle about it, but he's very open about the
I
rhetoric. And there's no
I
issue, by the way,
Yeah,
and let me just add, there's no
go for it.
issue with Fox News putting up their clips on YouTube of Tucker Carlson saying these kinds of things.
Yeah, and we mentioned Crowder earlier. I mean,
Right.
fortunately, those, or maybe unfortunately, those entities make millions for YouTube, and they probably, at least in the case of Fox,
Right.
have lawyers behind them, so they're not going to have a problem. Channels like ourselves, which really aren't cash cows for YouTube, they're not going to give us the same amount of consideration,
Hmm.
and which makes problems for us. And just to kind of finish up what I was saying, like that video on white genocide, which wouldn't quite be as maybe harsh as it sounds like there's a lot of like really kind of cringy humor that
Hmm.
like a lot of that stuff is just hilariously cringy. But my point is that we've had mass shooters who have done so, who believed in, one of the motivating factors was this conspiracy theory about white genocide. There's all these reasons aside from that I won't go into,
Right.
that I think is beneficial. It's a good thing to kind of really give an in-depth discussion of exactly what this thing is, and understanding how it came to be is
Hmm.
also something that can be educational for people. But yet that's a video that I'm probably just not going to make, because I'm afraid that the exact same thing is going to happen, that they're going to hear these sort of buzzwords in the algorithm,
Hmm.
and I'm going to be, they're going to assume that I'm engaging in hate speech
Hmm.
when I'm trying to dismantle it.
Hmm. And so you think that's got like a chilling effect on basically free speech and free exchange of ideas, perhaps?
I would assume so. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't spoken about it with a great deal of creators, but I do know of one or two who have told me like, yeah, like I'd like to do X type of
Mm-hmm.
video, and it's just something that I'm not going to do. So yeah, it is creating that. And again, in the past, there seemed to be like a period where okay, there would be a false identification
Right.
of the material, and then eventually that material would go back up and YouTube would be,
Mm-hmm.
would do the right thing. But it seems like we're at a point where that isn't happening. I mean, I'm hoping, especially like who cares about my one video? Like it
Right.
sucks that I have a strike, but again, a channel like Right Wing Watch, which serves a huge deal, I mean just a huge good to the
Yeah.
internet itself, is a tremendous resource for so many people. You said even yourself.
Right.
Like I'm hoping that there's, because sometimes, I mean, yeah, sometimes word of mouth on Twitter, like by the way, if you guys like look go on to look up Right Wing Watch, retweet a couple of tweets in favor of, or
Right.
write your own, because hopefully that will like put light a fire under YouTube's ass to get them back on.
W-
It's
We've seen that
it's
happen
crazy.
before too. Yeah, we've definitely seen more popular movements behind creators that will, kind of force YouTube to be like, oh, well, let's reconsider after this backlash. But
Yeah.
we were talking offline when we were, setting up this segment, which again I'm really glad that you've been able to join me on, about what this means going forward. You said that this is a disturbing trend. Can you kind of explain and like expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to lead to a few things. Some creators, that there's a lot of really talented lefty creators out there who are excellent at kind of really decoding what is being said and by certain creators, by
Mm-hmm.
certain lunatics out there. And these people, it's important to note that by virtue of the fact that they can't get away with just, like being real out in the open, just throwing out N bombs. Although
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe Crowder has gotten away with that a couple times. Just your more typical in your face racism, they will resort to coded language,
Right.
and so you're going to have more creators who are adept at decoding these things, who are going to be reluctant to do so. I wonder, like for instance, ContraPoints is
Mm-hmm.
an pretty well known, like just fabulous creator who has made some material. H Bomber Guy is another who
Mm-hmm.
they both discussed the ramifications and kind of like what these people mean when they
Mm-hmm.
say X word and Y word. And I do have to wonder, like, with the way that things are, because Contra has actually also had videos removed and then reinstated.
Right.
And if she posted those now, I wonder if she'd have the same, like, I part of me thinks that they'd be taken down and then maybe not reinstated. Although she is extremely successful, so maybe in her case they'd give her some slack.
Maybe.
But yeah, I guess just my point is that yes, what it's going to lead to is more of a reluctance and a fear from content creators who should be out there combating this stuff.
Right.
And that content will be either not made or made less, or in some cases, when it is made, it'll get striked and struck,
Yeah.
if you will.
And
And that's not a good thing by
no,
any
I totally agree with that. Because what I see is look, a lot of the creators such as yourself and ContraPoints and other, big YouTubers have been very successful, I guess you could say relatively, at trying to take down the alt-right pipeline, to try to get
Hmm.
people out and away from from the right wing, from a lot of those creators who do tend to have an effect at bringing people into these far right, whether it be racist movements, nationalist movements,
Hmm.
etc. And without those voices to push back, and that's the most frustrating thing about this entire thing that we have going on, is that the people who are saying these things, unless you're a larger creator like Alice Jones, you're still up. You're still up on YouTube. And
Yeah.
and the problem is, we have people that are decoding, as you said, what these people are saying and spelling it out. Hey, this is why this ex creator is being racist or
And,
sexist. And it makes it so that that's going to happen a lot less, and that I'm afraid that more people are going to end up being duped and being sucked into the alt right as a result.
yeah, and another thing perhaps that we can probably do less is like there are
Mhm.
certain creators who have over time learned to, as I've said before, mask it is what they really mean.
Right.
And like I'll just name a name. There's a YouTuber named Lauren Chen, and every now and then she uses
Ah, yes.
language which alludes to, again, white genocide, great replacement, that sort of stuff. And she has older videos or interviews on other channels where she is spelling it out
Mm-hmm.
much more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not necessarily saying that her material would rise to the level of like automatically, but there are various content creators where they have old stuff that is, I mean, I don't know, maybe if we're very careful with censoring, with putting in bleeps
Mm-hmm.
and subtitling, I still, but this is the thing, we don't know. We don't know where the line is. So it becomes like this guessing game,
Right.
and you still may end up like angering the YouTube overlords, whether you try and tread carefully or not. So yeah, it's just really damaging to the
Mm-hmm.
discourse, and we have to be able to dissect this hateful content. We need to be able to, in my case, I mean, I'm more of a comedy channel, even though that maybe like, I'm kind of talking a little straight laced here,
Right.
but my channel is more about straight up mockery. There is informational content, but that's very much kind of like where I'm coming from as a content creator. We need to be able to mock it. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to understand it, to like just flesh out these ideas and really look under the surface what
Right.
is being said. And so sometimes that creates a situation where we have to kind of say more than maybe they did, because
Mm-hmm.
they're just saying it in this coded language that their audience understands. And yeah, so it's a real, I don't want to be too, um, I don't know, don't want to curse too
Doom
much,
and
but
gloom.
clusterfuck. It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
I hope that's all right. I don't know if this is a PG-13 or
Oh no, it's
PG
fine. It's
audience.
totally fine.
um, but yeah, that's how I look at it. And once again, I definitely urge your listeners to get on Twitter and Right Wing Watch is trending right now.
Mm-hmm.
Retweet a couple of, at least one or two retweets from that you find from that have hundreds of retweets, because we might be able to make a difference with that. And I think it's vitally important. Like there isn't another channel quite like that, and if there is, they haven't been, I mean, they've been around for over a decade. That's such a loss. And
Yeah.
yeah, so many of my videos have been facilitated through things that they brought to light.
Oh, same,
And yeah, yeah,
same.
absolutely.
I mean, and by the way, they do exist. Those videos do exist in another like other platforms. I think there's Vimeo, which they have. I don't know if they've been able to back up all their videos, but it is still quite a gigantic loss. And by the way, for those of us who still use those videos, and again, this is just people, Pat Robertson saying the things that Pat Robertson says. Now you have to be worried that using those videos is going to land you in trouble.
Yeah, yeah, you do. I mean,
Yeah.
I can name you more YouTubers who have had the same problem. Cult of Dusty is another YouTuber who plays often plays this stuff and
Hmm.
is struck with like he's actually been lucky in terms of getting them taken down, but still, I know he's had problems. I believe that it's been a while, but I believe that one of Sean's videos. Sean is a very popular lefty YouTube creator. Early in his days, he had one taken down. Big Joel is
Hmm.
someone who I think about a year or a year and a half ago had a video taken down and then reinstated. But really, it's like I mean, I think my first like the first case of the lefty YouTuber who clearly was not actually violating hate speech
Right.
rules on YouTube that had their video taken down and it was just gone is the serfs.
Yes.
And I don't know since then. I now there's me and now there's Right Wing Watch. There's probably others that I'm not naming, and I don't know. Maybe they've turned some sort of corner where they've just kind of now they have a no second chances or just they're more harsh on it, and they should really reevaluate things
Right.
because for a whole number of reasons because ultimately they put
Hmm.
these rules in place in order to make YouTube a better place, in order to make
Hmm.
it more hate free.
Right.
And even though that maybe we may share like a clip here and there, by actually discussing it we're doing what they want. We're
Right.
making YouTube a less hateful place by explaining where this is coming from, what it means, all of that.
So, my final question, I guess, to you
Yeah.
is, what do you think like creators should do as a result of this? I mean, are there any sort of, resources or other platforms maybe that you'd like to shout out that you
I
can that
not
can
not
serve?
really that's another thing that's unfortunate. I've known many
Hmm.
YouTubers, I mean, and heard of YouTubers that I'm not fans of who have far greater followings than I do,
Right.
who just they're not able to make that jump. I mean, people with huge followings
Hmm.
that just are not able to make that jump on any other platform. So I don't know of any others. I mean, if you're purely a streamer type, then you can do Twitch if you haven't been taken down from there. But they also have their rules
Right.
aren't incredibly lax. So I don't know if I can offer anything there. What was the other? It was there another part of your question?
Um, I just, just trying to figure out like what
Oh,
creators can do.
what we can do?
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, well, I personally, I don't know if this is really going to make any sort of dent. I'm going to make a video about it. I'm going to discuss not just what happened to me, but like again, hey, these are some videos that I would have loved to have done that I'm probably not going to do now.
Hmm.
And so there's, more than just inconveniencing me, I think we're going to experience some sort of problem. But different ways that you can help is one, if you happen to enjoy a particular creator and you know that they've had a problem, tweet on their behalf or retweet tweets that especially when they're tweets that have a lot of retweets, sometimes just
Hmm.
building that avalanche helps. You can also support your favorite those YouTubers, because
100%.
often it leads to some sort of financial problems for us. I can't say this for certain, but I think that it punishes you in the algorithm when
Hmm.
you get strikes, and so you're making less money
Hmm.
in a number of ways. So I guess those are all the best ways that I can think of off the top of my head. And and yeah, it's hopefully something that, hopefully it's a matter of YouTube going through growing pains, and we'll kind of be on the other side at some point
Maybe.
in the distant or not too distant future. I mean, I'm just trying to be an optimist here. Or maybe they just don't give a fuck, and we're screwed. But
Or
that
let
that
me
that
add
could
something
easily
in.
be the case.
Let
Yeah.
me add something else. Maybe they don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
And let me just add to the fact that like they are gigantic platforms, and they weren't. I don't think they were necessarily had even thought about being political platforms at all.
Yeah, I don't think that they see that necessarily as a, I mean, it's probably one of the least money generating
Oh yeah.
sectors. Probably I didn't articulate that as well as I could have, but you understand what I'm
Oh, I do.
saying.
I do. I do.
And so I mean and of course there are those who speculate that folks like myself and other channels compete with people like CNN, Fox,
Right.
and whatnot. And I don't know, I don't want to get into conspiracy theory territory there, because I don't have any
Well,
verifiable
okay.
information.
Let me
But
just interject into that. We
yeah.
do know that YouTube prioritizes so-called authoritative sources, which are mainstream media, and that's one of the big
Hmm.
changes that they have made. After, and I don't quite remember what facilitated it. It might have been Carlos Maza calling out Crowder. I believe that was what kind of sparked the whole original like crackdown on some of these channels, which has
Yeah.
unfortunately affected people who are, again, like you, who try to call out hatred and try to put a stop to it through analysis and in your case comedy. Um, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where it started, you know, and it's they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They
Yeah,
go
it
overboard.
it could be purely a matter of ineptitude and just a mixture of that and apathy towards creators who
And
generally don't
advertisers.
make them that and yes, and advertisers and because often they can't advertise on our
Mhm.
material because
Exactly.
it's a little, like, kind of pushes it's a little edgy, if you will. So yeah, no, I think you're definitely right.
Hmm.
And it's just the whole thing. I hope that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Again, trying to be optimistic here. I do want to say before I go, just hi to Tiffany Starr. I saw her and she's a
Based.
lovely, cool person. So just want to say a shout out to her. And I want to thank you very much for having me on. Do you mind if I just let people know where to find
Yeah,
me?
absolutely.
Sure. So, I used to be known as Creationist Cat. You can find my channel if you type in Creationist Cat. However, the current name is Hey It's Vadim, and Vadim is spelled Vadim rather than Vadeem or Eeem, which is how Mr. T spelled it when he gave me an autograph several years ago. But yeah, you can find me there. I make videos that I would say are sort of like Adult Swim comedy style videos through a left wing lens. And I discuss sometimes pop culture as well through a left wing lens. And I've got a pretty neat video, if I do say so myself, on Elon Musk on the channel right now, which dropped recently. Also, a more memey type video on the whole Sam Cedar Crowder thing, which is fun. So check that out. And you can also find me on Twitter at HeyIt'sVadim, same spelling.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure and a sheer sensation. I hope your audience is just doing swell, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Vadim. I hope we can do this again. I'd love to bring you on again some more. You
Yeah,
know,
it'd be great to talk other stuff.
absolutely. So thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it. Everybody go check him out. Follow, subscribe to his channel, and support Hey It's Vadim. Thank you again, man. You have a good one.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.